Hi, I'm Mr. Simons, and in this video I want to take you through how to set up a Zoom class to teach remotely. A lot of teachers all around the world are having to teach remotely because of COVID-19, and Zoom is a really powerful and accessible tool, an easy way to teach students in this new remote setting through a pretty powerful technological tool. So what I'll do is I'll talk you through how to get started with it, how to set up a new meeting, which in our context would be a new class. And then I'll also show you how I use Google Classroom along with it to inform students about when the classes are taking place and to make sure all of the information is in one central location. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so here you can see that I'm here with my test class for Google Classroom. Just a test class, nothing particularly special. So what I would suggest you do is that you download the Zoom app. If you go to zoom.us, there it is, zoom.us, that the first place to start is in terms of signing up and getting the app. Now it's free. The free version does have a 40-minute limit, but it's a really excellent place to get started. And then once you've all signed up here, then you'll be able to access the app. But let's just pretend we're signing here online. So we're signing with Google, I've got my work account here, and here I've got my story for today. So I've signed in with Zoom, and you can see here, so I've got my profile here. This is me, and I've got my meetings here that are scheduled. And then I can see here I've got my settings. So you can do it this way. The other way you can do it is that in terms of your start bar, that if you go all the way down to Zoom, then you also have access to this app here. Just bring this over to this screen here. And this is just a really short, easy way to work this out. So you can create a new meeting from here. You're able to join an existing meeting, schedule a meeting, share your screen, all of those kinds of things. So you can start with zoom.us, or you'll also have access to this app here. So let's just say I'm going to use the app. I prefer using the app here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule a new meeting. So I'm going to schedule a class in Zoom. So just to rewind briefly there. So I've got these four options here, and I just click on schedule. If I was online here, so let's say I go back to my profile. So I've logged in, here's my profile, here's everything. That all I need to do here is if I'm going to schedule a meeting is just click on schedule a meeting, right? And it'll be all here. I'm just going to use the app so we don't confuse things by going back and forth a lot, but that this is what I'll be using. So let's say that I've got test class, and let's say this will take place on the 31st of March at midday, and it will go for an hour. So in terms of here, I've got a few settings already set up here in terms of how I like things. I've got a separate video that shows you some of the best settings that I use for Zoom, and I'll link to that up there and also in the description below. So if I'm looking here, I'm generating my meeting ID. I'm not requiring a password, but you may. My host video is on, participants video is on, the audio I'm using through the computer, and I'm going to sync it up with my Google Calendar. You can also go through to some advanced options here, and that you can choose things. Something that I quite like is that there's the waiting room that students can join before the host, and that they are muted on entry. Make sure that's chosen. That helps to reduce some of the chaos that can emerge when everyone joins with their audio on full. So I'm going to schedule this meeting. And then you can see here it's just linking along with my work account, which is obviously fine. And so I can see now on my Google Calendar, I've got my test class here taking place on March the 31st from 12 to 1, and that here I've got my meeting details. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this and then paste it on to my Google Classroom. So I'll say here, hi students, please join our class at 12 p.m. On the day. And then all they will need to do is click on that link on Classroom, and they'll be able to get in. The advantage of posting it on Classroom, at least at our school, is that it's like this central hub that students will always go back to. And so if students are lost and they don't know where things are, it's just like, just go back to Classroom. The link is there, the details are there, go for it. So then I can post that, and then students will be able to access that when we're ready to go. So let's say I go back to the app. So working through the app here, and I can see my schedule. Go back here, and I can see here that in terms of my meetings, I can see a list of my meetings here. So I can see that the one that I created on Tuesday the 31st of March, test class here. So let's say that I want to send out another invitation. A student has emailed me, or I need to put it back on Classroom. If you see here, I could just copy the invitation, and then I can go back to my test class, for example, and I can just paste that, and there it is again. So that don't worry if you can't find the details easily, because in the app, you can just copy the invitation there. Let's just, for completeness, if we go back to the website, let's say we're going through there, and I go to meetings, that you can see here it's also scheduled here. This test class is right here. And I can click on this, and here I can get the invite as well here. And I can change some settings too. So whether you're working on the app or online, it's very easy to work those things out. So again, I'm going to go back to the app, and I'm like, okay, so now it's time to start. The class is going to begin. So I'm going to click on start, and then here you can see that I've got this set up with this A for me. So if I look here, I've got a couple of things that are selected. So it says join audio. So I'm going to join with my computer audio, and I'm just going to make sure here that I've got the right microphone selected. So you might have just your internal mic, and that might just be the microphone array here. I'm using this Rode microphone, and then I've also got, you can see here, the speaker headphones. If you are unsure about it and you can't hear anything, you can go to test speaker and microphone, and that will take you through the steps of, can you hear this noise? Or if you say this, does it repeat? So you can just check you're using the right settings. Okay, so I can mute myself or unmute myself. And then you can see here that there's a big cross through the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the video, which will come out of the webcam, not the camera that I'm recording from here. Okay, so it doesn't look amazing because I'm using, it's a bit of a setup. So what I've got is I've got my webcam, which is recording it for the screencast, and that the webcam from the laptop, which is over here, I'll just angle that a little bit more so you can see, is capturing me for this Zoom cast, right? So that's me and my cupboard door open there. Don't hold it against me. So that is what it would look like. So I've got here, I've got me. You can see with that green thing that my audio is working. It's bouncing up and down there, and I can stop the video if I like. I can start the video. I can mute myself. I can unmute myself. So now let's just reduce this a little bit. So now I can see that I've got options here. So let's just bring it out here. Okay, so that as students start to arrive into the meeting, that they will start appearing in terms of being in this meeting here. If I wanted to invite people individually, I could absolutely do that, and that if I click on contacts, that will come up with the contacts in my address book or my Google account. But here I can also copy the URL, copy the invitation, paste that somewhere else, and have that ready to go too. So that's invite. When I am talking, share screen is a really great tool, and I use this quite a lot. If you go to share screen, you can then choose from a whole bunch of other things that are happening on your computer to show the students that specifically. So if I'm just doing this, what they are seeing is me on this webcam. They are not seeing anything else around it. I really like using Microsoft OneNote with Zoom, because that way I can annotate and write things down, but then I can save that and post that as a PDF to Classroom. So let me show you an example. So what I will do is I go share screen, and I've got OneNote open here. So I'll open up OneNote, and this is for a previous class that I've done. So we did quite a bit of work on labour markets. So for example, you can see all this, and that I've just used a tablet, a Wacom tablet, just to write and annotate and do things as we're going through. And so students would just be seeing this right now. So you can see that that's what's coming out of my webcam. This is what's coming out of the screen. And you can tell that students can see this because of this stop share thing. If I stop the share, it's just me. If I share the screen again and I go back to OneNote, they're seeing this. So in terms of sharing, I can be sharing this screen. I could stop the share. I could then share instead. I could be like, well, I'm going to share this page on trading economics, and I can bring that across. And then I'm now sharing this screen with students. So let's just say that I'm sharing this OneNote screen and then I want to refer to something else. So rather than click on stop share and start it again, what I can do is just click on new share here, and then I can choose another thing that's open. So I can say, oh, okay, well, I just want to show them this article about US stock futures falling, and that will be here now on the screen. So that screen share, I think that's very useful. So in terms of other things that are available to you, that there's this chat window here where I can type messages, I can paste links, I can say check pages, whatever. When there are more participants, or actually participants in here, that I will be able to also private message through this. Okay, so I've got invite, manage participants, screen share, chat. Record is very useful. So if I wanted to record this whole screen cast for later, including this right now, as well as my screen shares, I could just click on record on this computer or to the cloud. I could start recording, and then you can see that it's now recording, so that I can pause the recording, I can start the recording, I can stop the recording, I can do those sorts of things. And I find that very useful because I can put that together with the OneNote PDF that I've created onto Google Classroom. But I'll show you that in a little bit. So let's just say we're going to stop recording there. That what you should know is that the recording will be saved, and then it will be processed once you end the meeting, and then it will show you where that's being saved. If you've got any questions about that in particular, just put that in the comments. In terms of breakout rooms, that what you can do is you can actually assign the participants into little separate rooms, and you can drop by and see them and check on their work, and you can put them into different numbers of groups. You can sort it automatically or manually. It's really up to you. So if you've got a class of, more than 10, then you can sort of separate them to 5, 6, 7 rooms, have them working as small groups, and you can drop in and check on that as you go. So that might be a useful feature to check out. So these are the kind of key features here in terms of how I'm running the meeting and what I'm doing here. So what I might do is I might say, okay, this is time for the class to finish. We're done. We've gone through everything we need to. The time is running out. So what I'll do is I'll click on end meeting. So here I can end meeting for all. I can leave the meeting going, which is probably not a great idea, kind of like leaving the classroom open with you not in it, and assign another host. So I just usually just end meeting for all, and that just finishes it off. You can see over here that it starts converting the meeting recording straight away into a file. It's this Zoom 0. If I double click on this, then that will take me to the screen recording from my class. So let me show you how I would then use Google Classroom with this. So if I go back to Classroom, let me show you for my 11 Economics 2 class, right? So what I would do is, you can see here that this morning I posted the Zoom link for this morning and told them to join here. And then what I've done is I've included the PDF from the OneNote document. So I've just printed it to PDF. So this is all our notes from what we covered today. And then what I've also done is I've included the video here from our classroom. So that way that students that were not there, or students that would value that extra time with the content, have that all together. So the PDF that we annotated and also the Zoom class itself. If we just go back over it again, so let's just go back quickly. So remember, if we're starting it from the app, the download, then all you need to do is to look at schedule, and then you start creating your new meeting here. If you are doing this online, which is also fine, if you go from your profile view chug, 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 chug. If you go from your profile view, all you're doing here is just going to click on schedule a meeting and sort it out that way. Wait, there's one more thing. There's one more thing. Let me just do one more thing. Do one more thing really quickly here, so that if I go to share screen, another function that is very useful that you might use instead of, say, OneNote is this whiteboard functionality, right? This whiteboard. So what you can do is you can share that, and that here you are having your own whiteboard that you can annotate, can draw stuff. You're having your own whiteboard here that you can say text. So you're saying, okay, so for example, demand and supply, and then you might draw a shape here, and then you could put in a line, and you could go it that way. And then you can erase that, you can change the font, the line, all those sorts of things. And then once you've done with this whiteboard, you can save it. So you could download it and save it, access it later, and then use that as something you would then put on Classroom as well, or at least email to students so they could have a copy themselves. And then once you're done with this whiteboard, you can clear it and clear all the drawings, and you can start again or do that yourself. So just to show you that again, if I'm going to share screen, I've got all these options here, and I've also got whiteboard that I can click on and share. And so what you can see now is that after I've finished the meeting, so here is the whiteboards that I've used. So if I was creating that whiteboard, I could just open this with photos. And then here I am with my beautiful demand and supply graph that I created. I just find OneNote is much easier for this stuff, but this is also something you can use so that this will be saved, and that in the Zoom, you can see all the Zoom lessons that I've done, which would have a copy of the videos, and then now a copy of the whiteboard as well, if I'm doing that in terms of the classes that I'm holding. Okay, so hopefully this was a useful introduction to using Zoom as a remote teaching tool. It's a very powerful, accessible tool, but it does require you to understand a few key things before you're out there teaching lessons with students. I've got a separate video that goes through some specific settings that can be really helpful in creating a good learning environment in a Zoom classroom, and you can see the link to that in the description below. If you've got any questions or comments, things you want to clarify in terms of using Zoom, please let me know. And let me know how you're going with it, whether it's working well, whether there's some challenges as we kind of navigate this new teaching environment. Okay, and as always, thank you very much for watching.